Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Ex Tempore, where I bring together the players with the audience to discuss what happened in the previous session of ADlib&D. What were the characters thinking at the time, and any other thoughts our valued listeners might have about our game. If you have any questions concerning last episode, do not hesitate to use Twitch chat to pose them, and I'll get to as many as I can over the course of the session. Now, it was an interesting session last session, episode 36. We had the group continuing to travel northwards. They ran into a tribe of a tribe of humans that live in the northern wastes. They fought off a Arctic bullet, and they also tried to tame some mammoths with varying levels of success. We have with us tonight Rheekhi and Namtar and Deception, and I would like to probably start with Deception's character. How is your character handling the extreme weather of the northern wastes? Is it of great concern to you or to your character?
Better now that he realised he can use prestidigitation to cheese the cold a little bit. But
that was a great idea.
Before that, it was a little rough. A little rough, to be honest. Yeah, Azrael did not expect it to be as cold.
As cold, yes, it is. It is pretty cold. And they're warning, and I think the warnings of the tribesmen is it's even colder to the more northern than this.
Yes, I heard that, and I'm thinking, well, that's going to be rough.
It is, yes. Cool. Okay.
Yes, very.
So, next one's for you, Namtar. What does your character think of the zone known as the Long Cold Death? What does that invoke in your mind?
Well, coldness and deadness. Jace going into this figured that he was going to die. He's going back a ways. He's trying to avoid entanglements with gods, and despite his best efforts, he's found himself well and truly entangled. And so, what he was, he's pretty much resigned himself to that, and in light of the whole battle situation, almost welcoming it. But at the same time, he was wanting a heroic death out of it all, something that future bards would be singing songs about, and he's starting to get concerned that maybe the death that he's got ahead of him is not at all heroic, but just a sad and lonely death to the elements, rather than any great and worthy adversary.
But just think of all the stories that could be sung about, I was going to say Namtar, but about Jace, with respect to surviving the elements.
Yeah. People don't normally sing songs about that sort of thing. And it was really cold, and he didn't die.
Maybe you can find a good angle there.
Jace will start working on a few options.
Okay, so this one's for you, Rheekhi. You now have an unconscious mammoth that was very unfriendly and is currently away from the rest of her herd at your feet at the end of the last session. What are your plans with the said creature?
I have an unconscious mammoth at my feet.
Yes, they at the end of the last session, they one of the mammoths that was heavily injured was set to sleep by Deception.
What am I planning on doing with it? Oh, well, patching it up, running away before it wakes up.
Is that your plan for everyone else?
Jace has a plan.
Is he going to cut it open and climb inside to keep himself warm?
Well, I'll throw it out to either of you, Deception or Namtar. What are your thoughts about this said mammoth?
Azrael's plan was just to enable the group. He doesn't mind what they do with the mammoth. He put the mammoth to sleep. They can try what they want. And he just doesn't want to have to try himself because it's a freaking mammoth.
Jace hasn't given up on the idea of getting a mammoth on our side, and he's got a plan. He's got a plan.
He's hatching a plan in that 1 minute while it's unconscious.
A cunning plan, yes.
Excellent. Okay. This one's for you, Deception. Do you think the Ragged Tooth tribe trusts the Dodgy Brothers at the moment? Are you happy that they seem to confer with mainly Wabani, or is that a good thing?
I think it's a good thing that they're conferring with mainly Wabani, because he is from the north. But from what I've kind of overheard, there may be a problem between his tribe and their tribe. I'm pretty sure he was from the other tribe, wasn't he? But like that was what was spoken about during the session.
I can't remember. How much did he describe about his history?
He's told me his tribe, and then they mentioned there was a war, and this guy had his tongue cut out by another tribe, which I'm assuming is Wabani's tribe, from what Wabani's told Azrael.
Yeah, there was the Wild Fury tribe is where Wabani's come from.
Yeah, because he's mentioned, like, you know, he's a shaman of the Wild Fury many times, so Azrael knows what that is, and Azrael sits there, listens, and kind of just takes it in more than anything, and tries to figure out, you know, the angles.
And since Wabani isn't here, we can say whatever we want, and he can't refute it.
No, he cannot.
Okay. Namtar, how does your character think the encounter with the mammoths went? Do you think things were going to degenerate that quickly?
Jace went in there full of self-confidence as always, and it didn't really occur to him at all that the mammoths wouldn't be receptive to his overtures, and he was really genuinely surprised when things turned out the way they did. He's disappointed that he wasn't successful with his diplomacy. He's satisfied at how well the party acquitted themselves against such enormous and powerful foes. So, you know, to that extent, you know, there's definitely some satisfaction going on. But
certainly May was lucky in that encounter.
Oh, very, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, he never wanted this. He didn't. He wanted to be friends with the mammoths. He didn't want to have to slaughter most of their herd, and so he's a little sad.
Okay. For you, Frankie, what do you think is agitating the animals so much? Do you think it has any relation to the other goings on that have happened in your journeys?
Well, agitated against... Well, it probably is. Or they could just be cranky because there's lots of odd people running around. I mean, if the odd people are running around because of the plot line, then yes.
Whatever the plot line dictates.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rheekhi's probably thinking that there's odd goings on, but then creatures in this part of the world are probably quite might be a little bit unfriendly to start with. It's not exactly a friendly environment.
It isn't, but I will mention that Alensi mentioned that the animals have been a little bit agitated and have travelled further south than normal in the past year. I think that was mentioned at the start of the last session. Okay. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that, or
on what's upsetting the animals?
Yeah, what's upsetting the animals?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some weirdness going on up north. You know, given what we've been told that it's somehow associated with these strange elemental spirits, I guess, for want of a better term, these glowing balls that zap people. I guess Jace is assuming that there's a lot of that action going on up top. Maybe some of the wildlife from up that way has been driven south, fleeing it, and come into conflict with the people and the animals to the south.
Okay. So the next question I'll throw out to everyone. What does your character think they will find in the long cold death?
Other people who are dead, not us.
Deception?
Has no idea. He's never been this far north at all. Like, I just didn't have any idea it was this cold up here. Like they mentioned, Wabani mentioned it was very cold and it was going to be much colder than we'd ever experienced. But when he got up there and started like almost freezing to death, it was much more of a worry. And then hearing the long cold death over and over again, that's a worry. That is a big worry for Azrael.
Yeah, I mean, if the locals won't go there, that says a lot, really, doesn't it?
Yes, that certainly does. And I can remind anyone who is listening, they can put in their current questions into the chat, and we'll try and speak to them if we have the time. Do any of you guys have any questions for me, by the way, before I continue?
What are the odds of us convincing these mammoths to work with us?
Yeah.
I just want to
Well,
know my odds. I don't want to know whether it's like 100, like no 100%, just like 10%, 15%.
Mammoths or mammoth?
Or mammoth. Yeah, there's not multiple mammoths. Mammoth.
There's only one there.
Just the one.
Oh, I will say there is a possibility, but it'll be very interesting to see how well you do.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Anything else before I continue? No. Okay. So another one I'll just throw out to the general group. What are your characters' thoughts on Wabani taking the lead when it comes to negotiating and discussing with the local tribes? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I kind of said that before, didn't I?
I think you asked Deception something similar. I mean, from Jace's point of view, he's feeling a little bit of like a fish out of water here. I mean, these are not the people he's used to dealing with. It's not the culture he's at all familiar with, and Wabani's full of self-confidence. It seems, which was a little bit of a surprise to Jace. Jace had sort of picked up that there'd been some bad blood between Wabani and his people, and Wabani seemed quite nervous, scared even about the idea of returning north, and so Jace didn't expect him to step into the sort of leadership role when we got up to the north, and so Jace is sort of pleased for Wabani that he seems to be doing a lot better than he expected, and he's a little uncertain in himself at the moment. And so, as far as the culture, so he's happy enough for Wabani to take that role.
Oh, good. That's good. Okay, so last thing I'll throw out there, unless anyone else has other questions, is in the end, what do you guys think the Arctic bugbears were doing with the meat and other objects that they had?
I think maybe they were trying to tame that thing. Capture it at least.
Perhaps there's something scary around that they're after protection from. Something scarier than what they're actually summoning.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. I mean, Jace doesn't know anything about bullets, but it seemed like some sort of creature which might eat normal creature food, and so leaving the meat in there makes sense, but mixing in gold and healing potions and other treasure, it was a bit weird. It's the sort of thing you might leave for tribute to someone who actually could make use of those things, and it seems hard to imagine how a bullet could do that.
Well, if we're actually in Fantasy Grounds, I would have asked you to roll a history check or a nature check, but we're not, so I'll leave it there. But if do you guys have any other questions, or if the audience has any questions, better bring your questions forward before we do close the stream for tonight.
When will we be level 20?
Ooh.
At the end of the adventure. Is that cryptic enough?
It's ominous.
Very ominous.
So you'll pit us against something terribly, terribly scary, and then we'll level immediately before we die.
That's right. So you're safe when you're not level 20. Fair enough. Okay, well, thanks everyone for listening. Remember, you can vote for the options down below, and our next game is set for this Friday at 8:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thanks to Deception, Namtar, and Frankie for joining tonight, and for all the audience, and we'll see you then.
See you then.
Thank you.
you.
See ya.
Bye.